What's going on to everyone out there in all sorts of social media spaces? Welcome to another episode of All Things Cavaliers. I'm your host, Joey Schneider, along with the Dorian Gray lookalike, Mr. Kevin Sleds.
What's going on, Joey? Glad to be back for episode 2.
I know. I'm excited. I had to go with the Dorian Gray reference because, man, I don't think you have aged in 20 years, which is pretty impressive. I thought you were like...
You know what? I hear that a lot. It never gets old.
Do you? Well, I'm not trying to kiss up to you, but you know, if it gets me in with the boss,
it's going to catch up to me. It'll catch up to me one day, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully I stop aging. We got some stuff to talk about today, Kevin. Thank you for everyone that is here or that will be here that will be watching this all around the social media. Kevin, the All-Star Weekend happened. It was a thing. Some stuff happened. They had some contests of some sort, and we have to talk about it because it is NBA related. So
do we have to?
Unfortunately, I feel like we are obligated to touch on it just for a little bit. But the NBA weekend has come and gone, and my God, what an absolute shit show. I'm sorry. The All-Star weekend used to mean something, and maybe that's the old head talking in me, because it was the best people doing the best things, and they didn't need an incentive. The game was fun. The 3-point contest was fun. The dunk contest was always fun, but unfortunately, I'm going way back, and I don't want to reminisce, but I miss Kobe, Vince Carter, back in those days. But we're not here to talk about all the good stuff. We're here to talk about the negative, Kevin, because it was terrible. The dunk contest, man, I need your thoughts.
Not good. For whatever reason that the judges decided to give Jaylen Brown high scores on all of his below average to average dunks, maybe because he was the lone all-star in the competition. I don't know, but they showed a lot of favoritism there, and not rightfully so.
I think that's exactly why. It's because he was the only, and I'm going to, the quote unquote star, that was in the dunk contest. And I mean, he was terrible. I mean, Jaylen Brown he can throw it down with the best of them in a game, but we got my boy Clarence Wilson. Mac had the only original dunk. He did have the only original dunk, and they gave him a 48. Maybe it's because he is, not technically in the NBA.
I'll tell you what, anytime you can jump over Shaq, and you're white, you deserve a 50 across the board.
I think my favorite thing about the dunk contest was the new memes that show it's a picture of Woody Harrelson from the film White Men Can't Jump, but it says, "I'm gonna tell my son this is Mac McClung." If anything good came out of the dunk contest, it was that. 3-point contest, okay, whatever. They need to change some stuff up. I'm going to be honest. My favorite part of the entire All-Star weekend was the Steph Curry and Sabrina 3-point shootout. I thought it was genius, and it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty bad that was a highlight. That just shows how awful it was. But yeah, I mean, that was interesting. It was something different, and yeah. And I agree. That was probably the best part.
Derek Reggie Miller said it best: a 3-point contest is now the crown jewel of Saturday night. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, you still get the best players in the 3-point contest, so that's I think I would have rather seen Donovan Mitchell in the dunk contest and the 3-point contest. even though I mean, he could do both. I think that you need that star power in the dunk in the dunk contest, but it is what it is. Like I said, me personally, I love the Sabrina Steph 3-point shootout. Was not a fan of what Kenny Smith said. After that, I'm not going to get into it. Let's just say that I don't know whether I don't think he meant it the way that it sounded, but he still said it, and he's got to own it. And it was, about she's using a WNBA ball, which is smaller than an NBA ball. You know what? Okay, fine, but I have a question. Steph Curry has shot with an NBA ball now for how many years?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. If he all of a sudden switched to a WNBA ball, I think he would be way off. I think he'd be, overshooting or undershooting. He'd have to adjust for that size and that weight. It's muscle memory. You put something different in your hands, it's not going to be the same. She shot from the NBA 3-point line, not the WNBA. I give her all the credit in the world. She showed up, showed out, and that was a great thing. Clarence Wilson, one of the hosts of Brown and Orange Weekly here on Believe the Media. I like the Rising Stars, had real competition. All-Star Sunday should adopt that format. And I think that they wanted to do that, Clarence. I think that didn't Adam Silver come out and say this is going to be a much more competitive All-Star game? Isn't that what he said, Kevin?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see if that comes true or not, but I'm hoping, because I didn't even watch the All-Star game, to be honest with you. It's unwatchable in my opinion.
I watched it. The last few years that I've watched it has been because of ATC, and it's awful. The Rising Stars was extremely fun to watch. Clarence said, I still wouldn't. I feel like instead of having like the brag, or like they had all these different teams, just do one, just do two teams again. Unless as Clarence is saying that they should do they should do it where it's like Joey taking one for the
team. Somebody has to.
But
getting back to the 3-point shootout, though, how about the Money Merrill jersey?
Oh my God!
Even though Spider didn't fare well, he paid tribute to Sam Merrill, who should have been there.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Merrill shooting, I believe 45%, 48%, something,
yeah,
some
pretty close.
Some ridiculous percentage that I failed to look up, but I know that it's up there. Loved it. I mean, how much more of a team guy can you be? I mean, people, they want to understand Donovan Mitchell and where his head is at as far as the team. Well, he's not looking at the future right now. He's looking at right now. He's looking at this year, and he's having a great time playing on this team with the teammates for this city right now. We don't know what the future is going to hold, but him with that Money Merrill, and then and saying that I don't know if you saw on social media, he said sorry I failed you, Sam. And it was yeah, I mean, he's having a great time. He loves his teammates. The teammates love him, and I thought that was great. That was, if you're a Cleveland fan, you love to see that. What was your take on it?
Oh, without a doubt. Oh, I agree 100%. I love seeing that. Supporting his teammate who he wanted to be there. I mean, he even made the comment. I mean, it wasn't Merrill didn't get invited, but he said, Sam didn't want to go. He wanted to spend time with family, so I'm going to step in for him. No, there's no doubt Mitchell's a 100% team guy right now. There's all this crap coming out outside of Cleveland saying that he's going to leave the Cavaliers after this season, that he's not going to sign an extension. They're going to be forced to trade him. But that's all outside noise right now. Nobody knows. Not even Mitchell knows right now. I mean, it's going to come down to what happens this year. If it's another first-round exit, he may have second thoughts. But if they can make a nice run, second round or deeper, I think, this is the best place for him. They can pay him the most money, and this team is set up to win long term. So I'm not worried about it personally.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The last thing, and I'm going to say, all last thing I'm going to say about the All Star game, other than because I just didn't enjoy this All Star weekend yet again. Donovan Mitchell, another All Star appearance. I mean, he was the least played player on. What was he on? Was he on the East or the West?
The East, I believe.
Was he? Okay. I know that they were like doing it different this year. So like East players were on the West team and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah. He was the least he played the least amount of minutes. I mean, I guess thank you.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean,
the last thing I want him to do is get hurt. we got bigger fish to fry than the All-Star game.
It's funny because I want to be upset about it, but I'm not. I want to be like, why didn't our guy play like 30 minutes? But at the same time, you're like, you know what? I'm okay with that. He put up some good numbers. It was it was like 211 to 183. I mean, just stupid scoring. I think that's kind of, you either have to let them go completely ridiculous with it and just let the players have fun, or you have to try it and make it competitive. But if you it's got to be all the way one or all the other. It can't be this middle of the road type thing. But I
saw a clip that somebody posted earlier.
What was that?
Clip somebody posted earlier on Twitter, going back to it was, I think, early 90s. Charles Barkley was out there and Scottie Pippen is defending him, and he's banging. Charles Barkley's banging down low and he elbowing. I mean, that's when it was fun. Guys were physical, playing defense. They were trying. And I also want to go back to wearing your team jerseys. I like that too.
Yeah,
I'd like to go back to that.
I agree with that, but at the same time, I can understand when maybe you get a little confused or something like that. What if?
But I mean, they did it for a long time. It was fun.
But I agree. I think more competitive would be better. It's the best players taking on the best players. Who's going to win? But let's not just put up the most points of all time. Let's actually play a game and see who's the best. But
it reminds me of WWE right now. Just scripted entertainment is pretty much what it is at this point.
You mean fun?
Well, that's not fun. It's not wrestling.
Don't talk trash about WWE, sir.
Sorry, pile driver. I apologize.
Yeah, Dean and Mike. You got some splaining to do. But that was the All-Star weekend in a nutshell. Just a lot of missed opportunities and weird things, and the same thing that we've seen the past, I don't know, however many years, decade or so, and it's just getting worse and worse. But Kevin, silver lining, it's over, and now we get to look ahead at the Cavs in the second half of this year. And you know what? I mean, you jinxed them, and they lost to the 76ers. Because, our last podcast, you said they're going to lose to a team that they shouldn't lose to. And sure as heck, the next game, they lose to the 76ers, a Joel Embiid-less 76ers. And I just thought to myself, he had to say it. He had to say it.
And Tobias Harris. They're missing two starters.
Yeah, and they lost because you don't know. Just a lot of fighting. We're going to have to fight.
Hey, it was due. I mean, they were due. I didn't get up too upset about it. They were due for a clunker, and that happened to be it, unfortunately.
But the nice thing was that they came back the next night, and and me and you talked about this the last show. We said they're going to lose one of those, a team they shouldn't lose to, but it's going to be how do they come back after a loss, and what they do. They took care of business and got the win against Chicago before the All-Star break, and that was great. That you lose to a team, and that's a type of loss that can send you spiraling a little bit. Luckily it was before the All-Star break, but they came back 2 days later, beat the Bulls, and back on that. There's still, I believe, 2.5 games firmly in second place in the East. There's 6 games behind the Celtics. But me and you, we got to look at what they got coming up right now. And, I'm not going to go too far into the future. I know that they have They have a little bit of a difficult schedule, I guess, if you want to call it that. They are 2.5 games up on the Bucks for second place in the East. 4 games up on the Knicks. So they are absolutely doing amazing things. I'm sorry, I should have had their schedule out. That's what I'm getting out right now. But my schedule doesn't want to. There
Well,
we
they
go.
got Orlando, Thursday. That's the
They
first
got
game back at
they got
home.
yep, they got Orlando at home Thursday, and then it's a back-to-back. The next day they are in Philadelphia, and maybe this time they can beat Philly at Philly. Again, they will be without Joel Embiid. At Washington, that's on the 25th. On the 27th, they got their home against a really good Dallas team. And me and you talked about that. Oh, there's my daughter again.
Yeah, we talked about the moves that they made. That I think they were one of the big winners at the trade deadline.
Right. And you know what? I don't know if you've seen, but Daniel Gafford has been having some big games for them since they traded for him. So that's you're gonna have Kyrie and Luka Doncic, Gafford, PJ Washington. They got a lot of good role players on that team as well. That's a team to really watch out for in this second half. And then we'll go 5 games, and then the 28th, which is going to end their games in February, is at Chicago, where we have firmly beaten the Bulls 3 times this year. So hopefully we can make it a solid sweep. But they're all. This is the Cavs. Their chemistry has been great, and there's no team that I fear right now. I think we talked about it last episode, and like you said, there's going to come times where they're going to lose the teams that they should beat, and they're going to lose the teams that are really good as well. But it's about how they bounce back. But I'm not worried about any of those games. I think they're all winnable. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, like you said, the Dallas game is going to be tough with the additions they've made, and Luka and Kyrie are doing their thing. It's tough getting Philly on a back-to-back, but like you said, Embiid's still going to be out, so they got a little shot at redemption after getting beat at home before the All-Star break. So yeah, I'm curious to see how they come out. Obviously they struggled against the 76ers, struggled a little bit against the Bulls, picked it up in the second half. So I think that the break was needed, but I'm curious to see how they come out in the second half. And, it's, each one of these games is important if you want to hang on to that number 2 seed going forward. So with that being said, where do you see them ending up seed-wise when it's all said and done?
I mean, I can see them being the number 2 seed. I think that right now, like I said, there's not a team that scares me outside of Boston, and even Boston doesn't really scare me. I think that, we have 2, potentially 3 guys who could be in the running for defensive player of the year, especially when Mobley's healthy. He hasn't been healthy, but I think they just came out with the odds for defensive player of the year. Jared Allen's number 2 behind Rudy Gobert. Why is Isaac Okoro? I mean, not about Jared Allen. Why Isaac Okoro wasn't even in the top 12? Which is ridiculous to me.
Right.
But I see them at number 2. If they slide a little bit, maybe 3. The Bucks have a very good team. If they can get things back on track with their superstars and their role players, maybe they catch up. But I don't see. I see it like last year. I don't see them any further than 4, and they can easily be number 2. I just don't know if we catch Boston.
Yeah, I don't think they'll catch Boston at this point. I could see them staying number 2, but I could also see them falling back to 3. I think Milwaukee at some point is going to get themselves going, and like you said, they're a tough team. So I think they can stay at 2 or 3 as long as they can avoid any big slumps. 2 or 3, 4 game losing streaks. That's not something they can afford when they're trying to stay where they're at in that position.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't wait to find out. I'm going to be watching every single one of these games, as most people will be. Um, you know, I think one of the things that I've talked about are um players that have we've talked about this personally and a little bit last episode. Players that have really been making impacts. Who is who in your one player you have to pick that has made the biggest impact in the first half of the season? So
That's a tough one because there's a couple of good choices, but I'm going to say Sam Merrill. The shooting he's brought off the bench. I mean, they wouldn't have won some of those games without his shooting, and he's been incredible. I mean, we knew. I mean, we saw flashes of it in summer league and in the preseason. He's even gone beyond my expectations. I didn't think he would be this good of a shooter, at the NBA level. The way he has, and it's he's looking like a steal.
Oh, absolutely. And I agree with you. The Fritz, which I believe is James,
That's
just
James.
just as long as we don't play like number 2 in the playoffs. Yes, if as long as we don't play like crap in the playoffs, uh we'll be okay. I love Money Merrill. I love that they call him Money Merrill. Um I agree with you. I think that he was great in the first half. I'm gonna go with someone that's more obvious. And that's just me. But it's just because he really stepped up in a time when we needed him to, and that was Jared Allen.
Yep.
Evan Mobley went down and Darius Garland went down. And I thought to myself, okay, something's gonna suffer here. The backcourt, God, James he's all over the place watching us. He's everywhere.
Thanks for boosting those numbers, James.
That's right. I'm gonna have to pay him back for that one with actual cash. But I thought we were going to suffer in the backcourt of the front court somewhere along the road. I didn't know that everyone, that so many people were going to step up. But Jared Allen to me, without Evan Mobley, just becoming a double machine. And there he is again, James again from Facebook this time. We love you, James.
Thank you, James.
But being able to step up, be a double machine, and not, I mean, big numbers. I mean, we're 20 some points and 18 boards. It seemed like he had that huge streak, of consecutive double doubles, and in a time when they really could have fell apart in the middle, he stepped up big time. So for me, that's who the player is that I'm going to pick for the first half. And kind of piggybacking off of that. Outside of like a Donovan, a JA, you can't say Merrill now. Who's a player that impressed you in the first half, outside of who we just mentioned?
I'd probably have to say Okoro, just with his improved outside shooting, and like you said, the guy's a monster on defense. But he's really improved the 3-point shot, which is something that he's needed to do, because even in that series with the Knicks last year, if you ask any of the Knicks players who you leaving open, every one of them said Isaac Okoro. They left him standing on an island outside the 3-point line, just daring him to shoot.
And now teams know you can't do that because he's knocking them down. God, I think the last game he took 6 or 8 or so. I know he hit half of them. It was like 4 for 8 or something like that. I mean, that's that.
Yeah, his confidence is through the roof right now.
Yeah, and he's slashing to get into the rim. I mean, I agree with you 100% on Isaac Okoro. Isaac Okoro is, I look at him and I see someone very much like Jimmy Butler. It took Jimmy Butler 4, 5, 6 years around that time, longer than normal to become Jimmy Butler. And Isaac Okoro's only what 22 or something like that. I don't know if we have a fact checker here on Isaac Okoro's age. I believe he's 22.
I think
23.
we
He
lost Joey there for a second.
He's 23.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, 100% on Okoro. You cut out there for a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. I wanted to know Okoro's age. Okoro is only he just turned 23 years old. So he is still obviously incredibly young. And like I said, he reminds me very much of a Jimmy Butler where, maybe might not might not become a he could become a superstar at 26 years old and be a monster. But he's definitely coming along, and I hope he's with the Cavs for a long time. We had Derek with Dean Wade really stepped up in Mobley's absence. You know what? I'm gonna let you take this one, Kevin.
I know that was I know Derek intentionally did that one for my benefit, so he knows what a great big Dean Wade fan I am. But no, I mean I'll give him credit. He did step in Mobley's place. He wasn't the ideal starter in place of Mobley, but he stepped in. He knocked down the threes when he needed to, and he played some really good defense.
And I would be remiss, and I know we said one player, but if I didn't mention my boy George Niang, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. George, we love you. You are a huge boost to this team. And I mean the entire bench has been, I'm saying pick one player. When is Dean Wade appearing on the show? Very soon, James. You don't even know. I got a
he's
surprise.
Welcome on anytime.
I got a surprise for Kevin. That entire bench stepped up, when DG and Evan Mobley were out. So, we're mentioning one person, and that's just, our personal opinions, Isaac Okoro. I'm a big George Niang fan, but that entire bench, LeVert, Sam Merrill, Craig Porter Jr., when needed. Who am I missing here? Dean Wade. Am I missing anybody?
Tristan Thompson.
No, I wasn't missing him. I loved Double T. I thought
he was playing pretty well before he got busted.
Now he was giving us good minutes when Mobley was out, and on top of that, I loved like we talked about last week. I loved his response when he was asked about what he was at media day what he was gonna do with Mobley and Allen. He said beat the hell out of him, and it looks like it's working. Hey, Kevin, James wants to know where your Dean Wade jersey is. He wants you to wear it next week.
All right, I'll work on that.
There we go. I think this team is something special. I think that right now the chemistry is extremely high, and I think for it to be that high right now, if they can keep this going, that they're going to be one of those dangerous teams. I should say one of the most dangerous. I think that they're going to stay one of the most dangerous teams in the NBA, and they're going to keep getting more and more national media recognition as they deserve right now. They're absolutely phenomenal. Derek, with JB getting his rotation playoff ready, will be fun to watch as these last 30-ish games go. I agree 100%, Derek. I don't know if it was you or someone else asked last week about what's going to happen with the playoff. Who we think is going to be in the playoff rotation. But yeah, I agree 100%. It's going to be interesting because there's going to be people who we want to see who might not make that rotation. Or you know what, he could shock the world, and we could see a lot of people. We could see a lot of different lineups. I mean, Max Strus. I mean, we forgot about Max Strus. I mean, I know he's in the starting lineup, but it's just there's just as anyone on this team can go off any given night. It's going to be very interesting to see who the playoff team is going to be. and over the next, like you said, last 30-ish games, really not only get that playoff rotation, but it's that chemistry has to be there. I think that's the X factor for the NBA is that chemistry. I think that's why Miami is always so good during the playoffs, is that chemistry. The Cavs have that chemistry. They also got some superstars, and they get that rolling, and you never know what can happen.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because, typically for the playoff, you normally see rotations get cut down to 8, maybe 9 max. But you've heard JB say more than once that he can go 10 deep or more at times. And that's where the issues have come in with, the buyout market. They've been interested in guys, Danilo Gallinari was interested in coming to the Cavaliers, had conversations with them, and they flat out told him, we'd love to sign you. And if you want to join the team, we'll bring you on, but we cannot guarantee you a rotation spot right now. And,
Right.
That's happened with a few other guys as well.
Mm-hmm.
And, they decided to go elsewhere where they were going to get immediate playing time. So, will they add somebody at some point? They may. I heard there's some interest in Seth Curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he becomes available, and a few other guys. So, we'll see. But the chemistry with what they have right now, it's going to be tough to throw anybody else in there at the moment.
I'd be interested in Steph Curry.
Yeah, me too. But I'd also be interested in Steph Curry too.
He's a great rotation guy, that Steph Curry.
And Joe Harris is still out there too, so yeah, I guess he's still a possibility.
I just, what? I'm sorry. I wouldn't mind them bringing someone in as a just in case, but I don't know if you need to. I mean, they're struggling to find minutes for guys as it is. And Derek had a great question. Where they got to start getting this playoff rotation ready here at some point. So those minutes are going to start getting lower and lower and lower, and we're going to see really who's going to be there. But I just don't know if it's worth bringing someone on right now. If you can't, like you said, they flat out told players, good players, or I should say good, but solid players, that there just weren't enough minutes, and they didn't have a spot in the rotation for them. So
if they do have the one open roster spot. So if you want to bring in a Joe Harris and a Danny Green role from last year, as insurance in case somebody gets hurt, I'm fine with that. But like you said, nobody's going to crack this rotation right now that's out there.
Rotation and bench. I mean, it's just we're pretty stacked all over the place, especially with Isaac Okoro just being a monster out there, man. God, I love seeing Okoro do well. When the last time me and Brandon started was just 2 years ago. I said Isaac Okoro was going to be my breakout player, and Isaac Okoro was doing better, but didn't have the breakout year like I thought. And this year he's finally doing it. So I wasn't wrong. I was just a year too early. So I was I'm very excited about that. But I almost called you Brandon. That should be an honor to you, if I'm being honest, yeah. Kevin.
It is very much so.
I'm very excited for the second half of the year. I don't think I could say anything else nice about the Cavs. I think I've said everything nice that I could possibly say. I think they're one of the best teams in the NBA. I love watching them every single night that they're on, and I cannot wait for these last 30 whatever games it is, and get into those playoffs, win a playoff series, move on to the next, and see if we can't do something, make some noise. Don't insult Brandon like that, Hoey. And then he corrected himself and said Joey. You know what, Derek? If you're going to tell me something, don't insult me like that. We love you, Derek.
Yeah, we do.
But Kevin, good episode. Can't wait to see the next game on Thursday. We will be back. What, next Monday or Tuesday? One of those 2 days.
Yeah, Monday or Monday or Tuesday. One of those days we'll announce it. But it's going to be nice to get back to Cavs basketball. It's been a long, painful wait through this All-Star break and beyond.
It really is, because we could talk about the first half, but we kind of covered that last episode. That we talked about the All-Star break, and no one likes it. So it's just kind of a recap episode and a bridge episode to next week, where we will actually be able to talk about basketball. Guys, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you watching on whatever social media platform you are on. And thank you for all the love and support. I've got a bunch of people, telling me they're glad to see me back on ATC, and I love doing it. That's the reason I do it, because I love it so much, and I love watching the Cavs, best basketball team in the NBA in my eyes. Kevin, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for being my co-host, and catch you next time on another episode of ATC.
I love having you back. Talk to everybody next week.